Kenny Mayne. We've had Kenny on the show many, many times and is in town, of course, Super Bowl week, but stand-up comedy tonight, huh?
Why not?
Or not?
So the background on it is I made a little short movie. We're also showing a movie, which we also showed at Kimmel's in Vegas. So I made a 30-minute comedy documentary called Wiffle Ball. It's on Fubo Sports right now. And it's about a day with Ken Griffey where we threw wiffle balls as a rookie, and I'm like 28, 29, somewhere like that. So all these years I've told people I beat Griffey throwing a wiffle ball. He brought it up to me in Seattle a couple years ago, like, I ain't talking about that wiffle ball, pretending like it never happened, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if he's thinking of Ken, one of the greatest players, he's like the Willie Mays of our generation, right?
Yeah.
And he brings up wiffle ball from 34 years previous. I was looking for something to do, and I just decided to make a funny documentary. I got Ken Burns in it. I got the president of wiffle ball. I got a science professor, whatever I did, old footage of Griffey. And what I concocted was, what if I did a show about my childhood leading to this wiffle ball movie, and it's an hour, there it is. Because I don't think I have an hour in me. It's funny, though. I did Q&A for almost a half hour. I probably went too long. And that was easier than the stand-up by far. I just react, you ask a question, So we'll see. Tonight, I think I'll be better. Day 2 is usually better than day 1.
At Caesars Hotel, correct?
Yeah. We're doing an event for my foundation, Run Freely, which, as you know, helps veterans with leg devices. And no charge, just telling everybody I see, telling you, telling the next guy. If the custodian at the airport doesn't show up, that means I didn't do my job.
That's exactly right.
He should be there, and his family.
That's
and I always
exactly
say,
right.
bring your rich friends, because we're not going to charge, but at the end, I'm going to tell a more serious story about why we're in this mission. Guys, give a penny, give $1, give $500, whatever you can afford, or nothing. Just tell. If you don't give anything, tell somebody else.
Kenny, when I saw this, I thought it made a lot of sense because you've done a lot of comedy when you were at ESPN, when you're on Sportscenter. I think that when we had you on, when you left ESPN, we talked about how you were essentially the pilot for Parks and Rec because of that whole cast was with you, and that was being around joke writers, writing it on your own, like having a writing crew. But writing Sportscenter jokes is not, and like bits, is not unlike stand-up, is it?
No, I mean, I always say I ended up doing for a career what got me kicked out in the hall in 5th grade.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, something happens. What's the stupidest thing I can say right now to win the room, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Bell didn't think it was funny. I was in the hall quite a bit.
Yeah.
And, it's true, though. Like, I always took serious things seriously. I report on real-world events, sports, everything from deaths to crime to whatever. But the rest of it, guys are playing basketball, and it's funny to say something as he dunks as opposed to he dunked. Right?
Yeah.
You come up with your little side remark. But I think the difference is going to a comedy club, it was like there's sort of a requirement that is funny there, whereas Sportscenter, there's no requirement that is funny, right? But if you are funny, it's funnier because it's unexpected.
Yeah. How much of your what you did on Sportscenter was jotted down in any way, notes to the side, or just off the cuff?
I'd say, well, the real stuff, the lead-in.
Oh, yeah.
Team A's playing Team B, or the stats, that was all scripted,
right.
Or a note card. What I would do sometimes, you were saying Dennis Miller did something like this, I would have a little sheet, like an Eddie Vedder, guidebook he brings out, and I would write like my favorite 8 things I want to get in a show. Mm-hmm. And don't forget to do medicinal as the guy dunks on a basketball.
Yeah.
Don't forget to say put one in the air, or I think it's hard to put a percentage. I think 25% of the show was absolutely, it just happened in that moment.
Right.
Maybe more,
Well,
but not much more.
But I think that's what made you so damn funny.
Well, like something would happen, or your co-anchor would say something that you didn't know they were going to say, and then in that 1 second, you say what you say, right?
Yeah.
Just like we're doing here.
What was your home run call? I'm blanking on it now.
Well, the one that got most attention was an adaptation of my old friend who was a comic, Warren Thomas, who passed away. He did this thing about when you got your student loan and you felt so powerful when your student loan, he was like, I am king of the dorms.
Yeah.
Let there be Cheetos for all my men. And so mine was, I am king of the diamond.
Yeah.
Let there be a clubhouse feast. Bring me the finest meats and cheeses
in
all the land.
Yes, all the land. That's it.
But it took a lot of energy. And the older I got, I reserved it for grand slams only. I'm not going to do that line for a cheesy little
cheap
hit.
two-run homer or a two-run single. Yeah.
Otherwise, there were just silly things to say, like honestly, I've forgotten most of them at this point. Even with derogatory credit, you can own a brand new car. Right? It makes no sense. My friend Bill Wolf made up one. He said, here's one for you. I don't know what that pitch is, but it tastes like chicken. Right? So I give Bill Wolf credit for that. Yeah. I yelled Yahtzee sometimes.
Yep, you did. Yep.
It's funny, I did the commercial where Dan Patrick sets it up, and he almost asked you a question. He goes, or answered your question. He says, it's very organic on SportsCenter. We don't rehearse anything. We just go out and naturally flow. And then they cut to me, and I'm reversing a home run over and over while I practice.
Yeah.
And they gave me this line I didn't like. It's not iffy if it's Griffey, which is kind of funny, but I just didn't feel it. I want to do my own calls. And so in the shooting of this commercial, I go, it's not iffy if it's Griffey, that sucks. Or that blows. I said that blows. Thinking I had killed it. I was trying to sabotage it.
Yeah.
They kept the whole thing.
Yeah.
They kept that blows.
Yeah. I remember this because you didn't remember it when we had you on the show, but my favorite call of yours of all time, and I hope it inspires you tonight on stage, was Andre Agassi and Michael Chang were playing and in a tennis match, and they were close friends because they went to Bolletary together. So I guess at the end, Agassi just leaps over the net to go hug him, and you said Agassi wins in straight sets and then leaves the net to pummel Chang and steal his racket.
I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
Oh man, that's a deep reach.
It was a deep cut, but
Absolutely.
it was. And look, as a comedian, I love liners and things, and so those things stick with me.
That's funny.
And I brought people in. To the room, let's go, but you have to hear him say this is so funny, and they're like, I don't know why. I was like, it's just the best line ever, and then the video cut in the perfect spot where you wouldn't see him hug him. He was just jumping over the net
to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I tried something like that at Kimmel's coming out. I was debating what's the first thing I do. I had 20 ideas. I settled on right or wrong. I come out and I said, I'm surprised we're going on with the show given the incident. You saw the police, right? I'm just making all this up. And they're all looking at me. What? I said, there's a guy backstage. He was backstage, and he said to me I was 20 minutes ago, he said, I want you to go out there and kill them. I was like, that seems like a really bad big deal. Why would you murder? They paid to come, and now we're going to. What kind of fucked up operation is Jimmy Kimmel running here? So it worked better with you two.
Yeah.
I thought, that's an old, as you know, go kill him, or I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
And I turned that into, the literal.
I saw a thing.
I just swore on your air. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we're YouTube. We're YouTube. We're good. Here's the thing I saw from Steve Martin one time. Jerry Seinfeld got him to come out and open for him at Radio City, and he decided his opening line was, "Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I saw a sign in the bathroom that said employees must wash hands, and I cannot find anybody who will wash my hands."
That's pretty good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you miss just sports?
I miss the hour only.
Okay.
If I could I knew you were going to ask. If I could just show up at 1 minute to 11.
Grab your script.
And be somewhat prepared also. It was always fun. And I think you'd appreciate, both of you, the danger of being live is what made it more fun. And sometimes it's frightening because I don't know how to say this guy's name, and he just you're quickly scribbling and but I remember a no-hitter. This is right before I left, actually. There were a bunch of no-hitters that year, and my producer Evan gets in our ear. There's 90 seconds to air, and no-hitter ended a minute before. So in this little 2-minute gap, right? He's like, all right, we're either going quick highlight, throw to the soundbite, quick highlight, throw to the live interview, quick highlight, Kenny interviews him, straight to him. He's 9 options. Now there's 20 seconds, and we still don't know which one we're doing because he doesn't know which one we should do based on is the guy in place. I don't know his name. And with 5 seconds, we're doing blah, 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 whatever it was, right? And expertly did it, right? It was like we'd rehearsed it, and that was really fun. And I trusted my producer. He would never hang you out, and you think you're doing one thing and it's another. But that was the fun of it.
That's an adrenaline rush.
Oh,
man.
yeah. I was exhausted after some shows. Yeah. I feel like James Brown coming on stage, sweating.
Did you ever have a Bill O'Reilly moment?
No, I was too nice for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it in more of a smart-ass way. My criticism would, just be cynical as opposed to you fucking, I
Yeah.
would never do that. Like, I always said, like, people make mistakes, I make mistakes, you make, and you hopefully look out for each other. If it's I have a friend who was a PA way back when, and he quickly elevated, and they brought him to the Super Bowl. He's like only been there a year, and he's now one of the guys at the Super Bowl. It's like a really cool event, for young kids especially. And he was in charge of supervising the font coordinator for the post-game show, and they decided to put up the wrong score of the Super Bowl.
No way.
I mean, that's a pretty bad mistake.
Yeah.
They had it way wrong, too. They just miscellaneous numbers, NBA score. I don't know what it was.
The story of you getting that job. I know you got a lot to get to today to promote it. I want to get back to the comedy thing tonight, but the story of you getting that job, did you ever in your life think that was going to happen?
I honestly thought it might have a chance. My last bid to wake them up. The Joe Montana to John Taylor Super Bowl of 1989, Cincinnati, the 90-yard drive, John Candy's on the side, that whole thing. I did a show at this little station in Seattle that was pretty good. It was like a nice 5-minute, mostly about the Super Bowl. Sent it to ESPN just for the hell. Like, why not? I'm going to see what they think of me. They called and said, send us another tape. We want to see if that was a fluke. And then they don't hire me. They bring back for the interview, but they don't hire me. And they brought me back for 2 interviews. Then they assigned me to do the Goodwill games of 1990 in Seattle. Then it was a freelance story, and then it was a feature story. And they were using me with regularity while I was selling long distance for MCI, trying to pay the bills. And some time went on where they used me less. It wasn't doing the story anymore. It was like, hey, go get a soundbite for, And I was I was frustrated because I thought I was good enough to do the job. And I wasn't even trying to go back to ESPN. I was trying to stay in Seattle but be like a West Coast correspondent or whatever. And finally I sent a letter to John Walsh and said, please check the appropriate box. I'm trying to sort out my future. First one said, stand by the mailbox, contract's on the way. Second one said, keep up the freelance work. Third one said, we'll hire you about the time ESPN 5 hits the air. And then they're at ESPN 2, right?
Yep.
A month and a half later, they hired me. And so I don't know if that was the impetus, like, hey, come on, let's give him a chance. I just beat down the door. And I would do extra credit. They'd say, go interview Gary Payton. We're doing a feature about point guards or whatever. And I would write the story they could have had they, you know what I mean? They probably thought I was an idiot, but it worked out eventually.
Yeah, there's a joke in selling long distance for MCI, considering both those things are gone now.
Yeah, people don't know. I mean, people don't know there was no 911 in my neighborhood when I broke my femur in 6th grade. That will be a funny story tonight at Caesars.
You made watching it. Of course, there's a lot of guys that have gone on, but the heat of when it all started.
Keep asking your question while I text somebody.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
No, I mean it's the watching you do Sportscenter was a reason to watch Sportscenter.
I appreciate that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, there were others. I'm not the only one for sure, but that was I think my highest achievement in that regard, where you kind of got that respect. I got to be backstage at Stevie Wonder in L.A., and his band members knew who I was.
That's the
like that. I'm sure that was like, is there anything more to do?
No.
I have to go to an interview in 4 minutes.
That's okay.
But I want you guys to come tonight.
Okay, tell everybody
8 o'clock,
Caesars Hotel.
Caesars Vesta at the not the casino, but the hotel, the nice new hotel, 2nd floor. I'm going to say jokes. I'm going to show a movie about wiffle ball, and I'm going to say more jokes, and then I'm going to tell you about Run Freely, and we're going to raise some money to help veterans.
We hope we did it here.
Yeah,
too. Thank you,
you
buddy.
so much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you. Kenny Mayne with us. Again, Caesars Hotel tonight. This 365 Sports from Radio Row in New Orleans.